guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be talking about 9 Lives by Peter Swanson, and this is a adult mystery thriller novel. It is a newer release for this year. It's actually one of my most anticipated releases for this year, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I did not like this. I did not like this at all. I was not expecting to talk about this. I wasn't really planning on doing a standalone review for this, but because I did not like this so much, I decided that I have a lot of thoughts and I wanted to just go ahead and do a spoilery filled review for it. So here we are. So if you have not read this and you still intend to, please feel free to do so and then come back and check out this review. But if you just want to go ahead and just check out my thoughts, just please keep in mind that this is going to be spoiler filled. So we will go ahead and get started. So before I jump into all of that, I just want to say that I have not read anything by Peter Swanson. I know he is, for the most part, a pretty popular mystery thriller author. I do have 2 other books by him, The Kind Worth Killing and 8 Perfect Murders. I had actually tried to, I didn't try. I wanted to read those 2 books before I read that one, but I was actually really intrigued by 9 Lives. And what really intrigued me was the premise. So the premise of this book is 9 people end up on a list and they end up getting picked off one by one and they're murdered, and the police are trying to figure out why they were put on this list, why they were being targeted, why they're being murdered. Unfortunately, that is the only thing that I liked about this book. I ended up rating this book a 1 star, and I hardly rate anything a 1 star because I am a firm believer in DNF in books. If I am not enjoying something, I will put it down and pick something else up. The only reason why I continued on with this book, number 1, is because I was listening to it on audio. It was less than 8 hours. I think it was just barely over 7 hours. So I was like, I can just go ahead and listen to this really quickly. Not a problem. I'm just going to push through it. And I was just really curious on what exactly was happening. So I was like, I'm just going to see this through to the end. I should have just DNF'd it. I did not like it. My main problem was I was just bored to death. Like, I was just bored. Nothing exciting was really happening throughout this entire story. My 2 biggest problems with this book was the characters and then just the end and why everything happened and why these people were put on the list. That is one of the things that I hate when we have like any mystery, is when we get to the end and we figure out what the mystery is. If it doesn't make sense to me or it's stupid, you lost me. So before I get into like the characters and the ending, I'll just go ahead and just kind of tell you like my little nitpicky things that I didn't like, and then I'll jump into those. But when it comes to like the audiobook, one of the things that I noticed that kind of irritated me, and maybe this happens a lot, but this was like my first time actually noticing it, was when I was listening to the audio and I was reading along in the physical copy, there were some differences. And I don't actually listen and read along a lot, but the differences were actually pretty noticeable. It wasn't like a, like a little word here or there, but it was like some big changes. At one point, I did actually notate one of the changes, but at one point in the book, the physical copy, they had notated, or they had like mentioned this movie called like Boyhood, but then in the audiobook, they had mentioned the movie La La Land. And that doesn't sound like a really big deal, but when you're like reading along and you hear and see 2 different things, it's kind of jarring. And every time it happened, like I would pause it and have to go back just to make sure I didn't like skip a line, skip over sentences, and it kept taking me out of the story every time it happened. It didn't happen a lot, but every time I did catch it, it was a little irritating. Another thing that kind of irritated me And I could see maybe why the book was formatted this way. Maybe they didn't want to spoil anything, but by gosh, it was it was a little irritating. Was the format of how like they did the list in like the chapters. So these people are put on this list. So we have 9 people on a list. And every time somebody was killed, they would read all the names on the list again, and then the chapters would start over. Mind you, 9 people on this list. This book is pretty short for a mystery thriller. It's barely over 300 pages. So every time somebody was getting killed, and they're getting killed pretty quickly, they would read this whole list all over again, and then the chapters are starting over. So it'd be like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, somebody dies. They're reading this list all over again, and then we're back to chapter 1. That probably doesn't sound annoying, but it's annoying. And sometimes you would only get like a chapter or 2 before they're reading this whole list of names again. I probably would not have minded that if like every time somebody died, they would eliminate a name off of the list. And then the list wasn't so long. That way, that would also help me too in keeping track on who's dead. Because 9 people doesn't seem like a lot, but that's actually a lot of characters, because that's not the only set of characters that we're getting. There's other like side characters in there too. So it was like a lot going on in there. So I just like the format of how everything was in that book just did not help what little enjoyment I was trying to get out of that book. Also too, this book is supposed to be based off of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. I've never read that book, so I don't know if that's how that one was formatted. So I don't know if that is how, I don't know if that's where Peter got his inspiration, but I didn't like that. Speaking of the characters, I'm gonna jump into one of my biggest problems with this book is the characters and how stupid these characters are. And so this is where I'm going to get into all of the spoilers. So like I said, if you don't want to be spoiled for anything, I suggest you click off of this video because I'm going to spoil a lot of stuff. One of my biggest problems, like I said, is with the characters. We don't spend a lot of time with characters because, like I said, the book is so short. And so because of that, we don't get a lot of character development. And that was one of my other problems too. So by the time these characters were dying, I honestly didn't care. Yeah, he gave us like some background information, and some of the background information that he did give us about the characters, he gave us like a character sheet in like the beginning. So it gave us the character names, it gave us like their jobs, it gave us some of like their family information. So, but I mean, to me, that's not enough for me to still care about a character. But we didn't get like really any substantial background information. So like I said, by the time they died, I didn't care. And by the time they died, sometimes I don't even remember who they are. And some of their names sounded familiar. So listening to it on the audio, I'm like, is that Jack? Is that Jay? I don't even know who you're talking about. So I'm glad they died. So now I don't have to try to remember which one you're talking about. So yeah, that was the whole thing that I just didn't really enjoy. I kind of wish sometimes in like these mystery thrillers, if you're gonna have that many characters, at that point, I wouldn't mind it if the book was slightly longer so that you can give, you know, characters time to develop so that I could care about them. So that when they die, I could have a little emotion behind it. Fine, whatever. But these characters were some of the dumbest people I have ever read about. No lie. So we know that these people are on this list, right? They know that they are on this list. At the very beginning of the book, they've all received this list, whether it's in the mail, however they receive it, they know that they're on this list. Some of these characters have even taken it upon themselves to Google other people that are on this list to see if they are connected in some kind of way. So they are doing their own research. So you know that you're on this list. You're even doing your own research. Not even that, but after you've been on the list for a day or two, You are aware that some of these people are dying. So you know that you could be next. So you know that you're on this list. You've already done your research to try to see if you're connected somehow. You know that people are dying, and yet you're still not really doing anything to further protect yourself for not being the next one to die. Got it. Okay. Not very smart. So let's start with the first person, Jessica. So Jessica is actually an agent. I think she's on the FBI. If she's not on the FBI, she's at least a part of the police department. So she was actually doing some investigative work. She was kind of reaching out to some of the people on the list. She was trying to make her own connections. She actually gets taken off of the case because her name is on the list. So they were like, no, you don't need to be on this list. We actually need to have you watched so that you don't die yourself. She tries to actually go to like this secluded cabin so that she can get away and hopefully not die. Okay, kind of smart. But while she's there, she actually notices that somebody has followed her out there. While she's out trying to follow the person that followed her one day, she notices or she realizes that she's being set up. We get this in her thoughts. She knows that she's being set up. Instead of like, I don't know, taking a different path, driving away, bringing attention to herself, calling for help, I don't know, she continues on the path of being set up. Guess what happens? She dies. Shocker. Shocker. Okay, that's Jessica. Dead and gone. Then we have good old Ethan and Caroline. So they both are well aware that they're on this list. They both have done their own research. They both know other people have died at this point, but they think that this is a good time to try to start up a romance. So Ethan actually reached out to Caroline, and they don't know each other, but Ethan thought that Caroline might have looked familiar when he Googled her, so he decided to send her an email. Those emails turned to text messages turned into phone calls. Phone calls turned into them meeting up at this cabin. That turns to them being dead. So I don't know what went through their mind that they should have started a romance instead of thinking about their safety and staying alive. But I mean, to each his own. I mean, I guess love comes before trying to stay alive. So then we have Miss Allison. So Allison is with this old man, and he's actually with her because he was having an affair with her while he was married. And once his wife left him, he took Allison out to Bermuda. Well, before that happened, we learned that like Allison has like this sixth sense. Such a weird thing for us to learn. But we learned that Allison like has this sixth sense. And every time she gets like this bad feeling, like something bad happens, right? The last time she got this bad feeling, like the next time she got like, so one of the times she had a bad feeling, like her grandmother died. And like every time she gets these like bad feelings, bad things happen. So one day, you know, in the midst of all of this happening, she tells, the guy's name is Jonathan, she tells Jonathan, like, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I have ESP. That's what she called it. She was like, I just wanted to tell you that I have ESP. And the more that I'm saying this sounds so stupid. She was like, I just want to tell you that I have ESP. And ever since we came to Bermuda, I've just been having these really bad feelings. And I just wanted to let you know. Well, if you are in Bermuda, you know that you have this sixth sense, and you know for a fact that every time that you have these bad feelings and something bad happens, leave. Why are you still here? Leave. Nobody is holding you captive. Leave. I don't understand. Get up and leave. What happens to her? She dies, because why not? Why wouldn't she die? She's dead. Okay. Let's go on to Jay Coates. So Jay, and his last name is significant in this one. So Jay Coates, he is a weird one. So he has like this, he's an aspiring actor, but he has like these weird fetishes where he has like these dreams and these fantasies of wanting to like murder these like young actresses. He ends up getting murdered, obviously, because he's on this list. So he ends up getting murdered. Okay, before Jessica, the FBI agents, got removed from the case, she was reaching out to people. Jay Coates was one of the people that she reached out to see if he received a list. Well, she reached out to a Jay Coates, just not the right Jay Coates. The police ends up going to the Jay Coates that Jessica reached out to, and he had to confess that he did not receive the list because when she reached out to him, he lied. Sir, why would you lie about receiving a list? That is the oddest thing to lie about. Why would you do that, sir? Why would you want to be involved in this, sir? Why would you want to have your life in danger, sir? I don't understand. The funny thing about this one, though, is that when the police came to him and he had to confess that he lied, he started crying like a baby right in the interrogation room. It's not like he's in trouble. He didn't do anything. He just lied. All they were trying to do was protect him, but he lied and he started crying like a baby. But I don't even know why this is like important for anything, because this literally took up like a page or two and we never, ever got any more information from this Jay Coates again. Never. We never heard anything else about it. We just know he lied. He finally told the truth. We moved on. What was the point of us getting all this information? What was the point? Why did we waste a page or two? I don't understand. I don't understand. The other people on the list, they're not really significant. We didn't get a lot of information. The other person there was one person on the list who worked at this resort. He comes into play at the end only because he worked at this resort. And that brings me to the last thing that really made me so angry with this whole entire book. And it was the ending and why the murders took place in the first place. So we have Jonathan. Jonathan was the one that was sleeping with Allison, you know, the one that had the ESP, the bad feelings. And what had happened was, way back in the day, Jonathan was staying at this resort with his family and his little sister. Him and his little sister were playing with these group of kids. Him and this group of kids had decided that they were gonna come up with this like little society called like the Pirate Society. They got the idea from Peter Pan, and his sister wanted to join this society because his sister was younger. These kids were like a little bit older. And in order for her to join the society, they were down at, they call it the jetty. In my mind, it's like the beach. So they were down at the jetty and they wanted to like tie her up in like a cave and let like the low tide come in. I still don't really understand what that means, but they wanted like the low tide to come in. And I guess, I don't know if she was supposed to like try to like break out of being tied up or whatever. I'm not even really sure what she was supposed to do. She didn't want to be tied up. So they said, okay, well, you just need to stay in this cave. However it was like set up, however it was set up, she needed to stay down there until like low tide, high tide, whatever tide was over. And once you survive that, you can be a part of our little group. Needless to say, his sister drowned, okay? His sister drowned and he's mad at everybody. And so in order to get back at everybody that was a part of that group, when he got older, in order to get revenge for his sister's death, he then killed a child from everybody that was a part of that group. So those people that grew up, he killed their children. Those people that was on the list was a child of those people that grew up. Make sense? Okay. As an act of revenge for his sister that died. So my problem with that is it was an accident. Nothing was done to his sister maliciously. She was trying to join their group. They all, him included, they all came up with this plan for her to be like trapped in this cave. She was supposed to kind of survive. She accidentally drowned. They kind of like left her down there. They forgot about her. All of them forgot about her. It was a genuine accident. Nothing was done to her intentionally. So then he kind of like got this complex in his head as he got older, and he wanted to give everybody their like karma. He that's what he said in the book, like, I wanted to bring karma to these people. And sir, what? It was an accident. Now I can understand if these people went down there, stuck her in this cave because they didn't like her, they were trying to bully her or something of that nature, but it was genuinely an accident. Like, they didn't do it on purpose. Another problem that I had after I sat and thought about it was this man was like in his 70s. So you waited until you were in your 70s to try to get revenge on these people. Now, mind you, he did it to these people's children. So I don't know if you were trying to wait till they were like old, because everybody that was on this list, besides the person that was the owner of the resort, because he didn't have any children, but everybody else was like in their late 30s, early 40s. Why did you wait so long? So this was weighing on your heart that long? I don't understand. But my biggest problem is it was an accident. This was not done on purpose. Nobody did this on purpose. They did not drown your sister on purpose. It was an accident. It was an accident. Needless to say, though, he did put himself on the list and he ended up killing himself. That brings me to another problem that I had at the end, was that he explained all of this in this 3 to 4 page long letter. I do not like it when we get like this long drawn out explanation about what happened in a letter. That's what the whole book is supposed to be about. We're supposed to be trying to piece everything together as we go. What was the whole point of the book? We could have just read the letter. That could have been the book. Just give me the letter. I didn't have to read the whole 300 pages. I could have read the 4-page letter that I got at the end of the book. I could have saved myself 7 hours and just read the 4-page letter. If you don't want to read this book, open up the last few pages of this book and read the letter he left, because that'll tell you what happened. Save yourself the time. I don't get it. I don't understand. I hate when books do that. That's why I'm sitting here this whole time, so that I can try to piece together what's going on, but you didn't told me in a letter at the end. What's the point? What is the point? So not only did we get this letter at the end, at the very, very end, we learn that Jessica is not dead. Why? Why is she not dead? Why did you keep Jessica alive? Now, I don't know if I missed something. I don't know if there was a detail in there that I skipped over. But sir, why is this woman still alive? Jessica was shot in the head. Why are we keeping this woman alive? Is there a part 2? There shouldn't be. I don't understand why this woman is alive. She's alive. And they gonna recount everything that happened to her. I don't understand. I don't know why this woman is alive. I don't get it. I don't know. Now, I do know that like one of her friends was really devastated, like when they found out that she was shot, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of these other families were upset when their people died too. So I don't understand why Jessica was singled out and why she got to be the one that's alive. I don't understand. Also, like I said, this is supposed to be based off of Agatha Christie's, and then there were none. So I don't know if in that book somebody else survived. I don't know. After reading this, if this was based off of that, I have no desire to read that. Nope. So that's pretty much what this story was about. And like I said, I gave it 1 star. I did not enjoy not one bit of this. This was a waste of my time. It was a waste of 7 hours. During this review, I pretty much summed up everything for you. So, but if you're still interested to check it out for yourself, I mean, by all means, go right on ahead. So, if you've read any of Peter Swanson's work, would you recommend any of his books? Like I said, I have 8 Perfect Murders and I have A Kind Worth Killing. If you read any of those two, would you recommend any of those to me? Like if I were to pick up any of those, would you recommend one over the other? Would you recommend anything else that he's written that I should pick up? Or should I just call it at this? Because I'm not in a hurry to pick up anything else. Not in a hurry at all. So, yeah, that's all I got. That is all that I have for you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.